Today we're going to be making fajita steak quesadillas. This recipe works for steak or chicken either way, but I love steak, so that's what we're going with. Everybody loves quesadillas. They taste amazing. They're full of cheese. They're very affordable. They're neat to feed to large groups of people, and they're easy to make. So let's jump right in. Going to get started right in with our steak here. This has already been out of the fridge for a minute. I always start with the meat because the longer it sits with the seasoning, the better it tastes. Now you can make this with any kind of steak you want. A lot of people use flank steak or skirt steak. I normally just go and see what they've got in stock and what's the cheapest. And that happened to be sirloin this time. We'll just blot it dry and salt and pepper it. I pretty commonly use a salt and pepper grinder for salting, but I've got this opened all the way up. It's putting out big flakes of salt. The coarser the better with meat. Now if you were using a flank steak or you were using a skirt steak or honestly even possibly a chuck steak, a really good thing to do is soak that in the lime juice and a marinade several hours before to really soften that up. But this, when we cook this up with a really good sear and really good hot pan, it'll be tender enough just to do with the salt and pepper, which is my favorite way to eat a steak anyways. Now you can use a mix of what other veggies you want. I've got today a purple onion, red pepper, a green pepper, and a shallot. I love these things. They'll really elevate any dishes you use an onion with most of the time. You can just use a shallot and I love the way it goes. My kids don't love onion. I'm using a red onion today, purple onion today. I think that's a purple onion. It's a red cabbage and a purple onion. Hey Siri, is it a red onion or a purple onion? I can call it any of them. A red onion, some people call them purple onions, garlic, of course, and a shallot. I started cooking and I really wanted to help my wife out in the kitchen. And I found out that I wasn't helping as much as I thought I was at first because I make a lot of a mess when I cook. One little trick I found that's a lifesaver is taking a bowl and keeping it to put all your waste in as you cook. Especially with fresh fruits and veggies, they generate a lot of skins and peelings and things like that. And if you can just kind of put them in something as you go, helps keep your work area a lot neater and helps keep the kitchen a lot neater. We'll peel our pepper here. Just kind of watching in here for the ribs. Just cutting the ribs off and just peel right around the outside. Didn't mean to splash those seeds everywhere. And you can kind of get the whole pepper free of seeds. And you got the core, just comes right out like that. I'll cut this in half, and you can see I kind of missed that rib a little bit, but trim these lengthwise here. Same thing with our green pepper. Shallot with our onion. You can use a Vidalia onion. I really love a sweet onion with this. Just a regular white onion, a yellow onion, lots of different ways. The last few times I've done it with this red onion and the kids really liked it that way, more so than the other onions, and so that's what I stuck with. Best way for me to cut it, I just stick it that way, and then I kind of like them a little bigger pieces. The kids like them bigger too because they can pick them out. If I'm trying to hide them, cut them real small. But with this, I'll just leave them kind of julienne long like this. Okay. Now I'm crying. That was a good onion. Let's go to the next thing. This is my favorite taco season. It actually came from online from Natasha's Kitchen, but it's just a tablespoon of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of cumin, a teaspoon of paprika, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, And then a half teaspoon each of oregano, garlic powder, and onion powder. This stuff is amazing, and I use it on all of my tacos and fajitas. We'll mix all that up real quick. Couldn't find my little whisk, so we got the big one. And we will set this aside. Now for the most important part of a quesadilla, the cheese. You can use any cheese you like. I'm gonna use a blend of sharp cheddar and Monterey Jack, but I also got some pepper jack because I love it, and we might put it on mine and Whitney's. My favorite way to shred cheese. Sure beats trying to stand it up and down the whole time. My mom's two favorite things to eat in anything was butter and cheese. You can tell I definitely brought that with me. Everything I cook pretty much has butter and cheese. Butter makes it better. I reckon, I don't know what cheese makes it. You can tell me in the comments below whatever you think cheese makes it. I can't think of a rhyme for that. Now to the stove. So I've got my pan turned up as high as I can get. We're gonna get this thing really hot. So you can use any kind of oil with a really high smoke point for searing our steak. I'm gonna use some ghee. It's clarified butter. We're just now starting to smoke right at that smoke point, so we'll turn that down just a little bit. When I'm cooking just about anything with steak, for the sear process, I want that really high heat. So I don't put a lot of spices and herbs and things like that on my steaks initially for the sear, because they'll all just burn on the bottom of the pan. What I do is I sear with the salt and pepper, and then as soon as we back off that heat to sear that other side, after we sear that other side, I'll come back in and add in any spices, herbs, things like that I want to put on the steak. Go ahead and flip that, and you can see we're getting a good little sear on the back side of it. So we're going to set these off. So I'm going to add in some butter. Now we're going to bring in our garlic. Going back on. Got my butter in there. I'm going to add my garlic. I'm going to add all my veggies. Onions first. We'll let them start just a minute. It'll take a little longer to cook. Just like our pre-shredded cheese, a lot of times you can get your vegetables already pre-sliced, and you can use those at most grocery stores if you're in a hurry. So while that's over here cooking, we're gonna go ahead and slice our steak up. No matter what steak you're using, but especially if you're using a tougher cut like a flank or skirt, you're gonna want to cut that across the grain. Look which way the grain's growing. I'm trying to cut backwards so y'all can see what I'm doing. Now that these are just starting to brown, we're going to take our freshly sliced steak and add that back. Let me do it this way. These are steak fajitas. I make the fajita first, and then we're just gonna put that right on the shell. But I like having more steak in my fajita than everything else. We'll use our taco seasoning. We'll just sprinkle that over it. If there's not enough water from your veggies, you can add a little water. I'll just help mix up all my seasoning, because basically all we're doing here is once we mix this in and it's good and seasoned, and now we'll set this aside and get ready to start cooking some tortillas. So, time to make these things. Take my butter, or spray oil on it, whatever you want to do. Throw it in the thing, the skillet. Take some cheese, like a good bit of cheese. I just spoon a spoonful of our fajita mix into here. And some more cheese. Fold it over. Let it sit there. Now, if your skillet is about the same size as your tortillas, you'll find that you can put more than one at a time. Come in from the long end when you're trying to flip them, or you might end up not getting what you wanted out of them. Flip our other little cheesy guy. Really just grilling these till the cheese is melted, but if you've got the right temp, just kind of turn these just a little golden brown. So for plating, I'm gonna use a little bit of cilantro and a lime. Time to cut one of these crunchy quesadillas. You can cut them into just straight halves, which makes like quarter rounds, but I like to cut them into thirds. Alrighty. Let's plate some of these up. Got some homemade pico de gallo. Put a little bit of that out there. Some guac. A little shredded lettuce. Some sour cream. So we'll fit one more in here. Sprinkle a little cilantro over everything. And there we go, a Bates family staple. Great way to elevate your Taco Tuesday and really up your game. It pairs well with just about anything you put with it. The kids, they just dip theirs in sour cream and go. So let's try this. Take 30 minutes one night and try that out. You'll thank me later.